Something is happening, quietly, steadily, and now unmistakably. The once unshakable dominance of the Western luxury auto industry is starting to crack. For decades, names like BMW, Mercedes-Benz, and even Tesla stood not just as car makers, but as cultural monuments, icons of prestige, power, and global aspiration. They weren't vehicles, they were declarations. But now that aura is dimming. And the disruption isn't coming from Detroit or Stuttgart. It's coming from Shenzhen, from Huawei. In May 2025, Huawei, in partnership with Chinese automaker JAC, unveiled the MXRO S800, a luxury electric sedan that didn't just challenge the status quo, it shattered it. Sleek, technologically audacious, and aesthetically refined, the S800 doesn't look like a competitor to Europe's best. It looks like an heir to their legacy, and then some. But here's the twist, its price. At roughly $98,000 to $142,000, it delivers a level of elegance, intelligence, and innovation that Western automakers simply cannot offer at that range. This isn't a car, it's a gauntlet, thrown with precision. And it's just the start. Because the S800 isn't just a product. It's a signal, a shift, a line drawn in the sand. It declares, unapologetically, that China isn't content to play in the margins anymore. It's aiming straight for the top, the territory once thought untouchable. And it's doing so with calm confidence, not hype. We've seen this pattern before. The silent rise of BYD, the jolt of panic from DeepSeek's breakthroughs in AI. But this is different. This is the luxury segment, the inner sanctum of Western automotive pride. The place where badge meant everything. And it's now under siege. For years, the West held tight to a belief that China could never master premium, that the subtleties of craftsmanship, the refinement of engineering, the intangible pull of brand prestige, that these were immune. Exclusive, unteachable. That illusion has been broken. And the consequences are arriving fast. The MXRO S800 racked up over 6,500 pre-orders in its first month. Modest in mass market terms, deafening in the luxury world. It means something deeper. A shift not just in what consumers want, but in what and who they trust. Beneath the surface of this car lies a deeper engine, one built not of steel and software, but of national ambition and strategic patience. Huawei's success here isn't spontaneous. It's the fruit of years of groundwork, government-backed innovation, full-spectrum control of supply chains, aggressive reinvestment, relentless quality refinement, and the will to outpace, not match, the West. And while China raced forward, Western giants stagnated. Too expensive, too slow, too enamored with their own legacies, too sure that prestige could cover up a lack of momentum. Now those same companies face a painful paradox. They need the Chinese market more than ever, yet it's that very market that's birthing their most dangerous challengers. The place that once fueled their growth is now rewriting the rules faster than they can adjust. Huawei's entry into the luxury EV arena threatens to pull the ground out from under a $160 billion stronghold, and traditional defenses, tariffs, regulation, branding, are no longer enough. You can't wall off a market that owns your future. This isn't just industrial competition. It's a clash of models, systems, and worldviews. A battle for dominance over the next era of mobility. Not just how we move, but how we power, build, and define our lives. And right now, China is accelerating. Behind the quiet elegance of the S800 lies an economic machine tuned for speed and scale. A machine that can innovate faster, manufacture cheaper, and adapt more ruthlessly than anything the West currently commands. This isn't a fluke. It's the result of a decades-long transformation. Imitation is long gone. China is now writing its own playbook. Western automakers are already in the boardrooms. The lights are on late. The mood is tense. Strategies are being rewritten. Projects reprioritized. No one's admitting it publicly yet, but the panic is real. Because the truth is sinking in. The world's most important car market isn't their playground anymore. It's their proving ground. And they're starting to fail the test. What's happening now is more than a market shift. It's a generational turning point. The age of Western supremacy in luxury vehicles, built on heritage, design, and assumed superiority, may be nearing its end. Not because of some startup disrupting from below, but because of a state-backed titan that has learned, adapted, and moved with frightening velocity. The MXRO S800 is not a one-off. It's a warning shot. A signal that the balance of power isn't drifting, it's tipping. Right now. Rapidly. Relentlessly. If Western automakers keep clinging to nostalgia, if they bet on reputation over reinvention, this is only the beginning of the unraveling. Because the future of cars isn't just electric. It's intelligent, integrated, and built in ecosystems designed for agility, not legacy. And increasingly, those ecosystems are in China. Look at the numbers. In 2023, China sold 26 million vehicles. That isn't just scale, it's gravity. That's nearly a third of all cars sold globally. Twice as many as the United States. nearly triple Europe. It's not just a market anymore. It's the core of the global auto industry. And for the legacy players in Germany, the US, and beyond, the reality is undeniable. The axis has shifted. For years, Western luxury brands treated China as their golden goose, a bottomless reservoir of revenue. In many cases, China made up 30% or more of global sales. That cash didn't just boost profits, it funded everything. Factories in Munich, labs in Stuttgart, innovation pipelines across the Atlantic. But now, that reservoir is drying up. And when the money stops flowing, the entire machine grinds. We're already seeing it. Layoffs, stalled R&D, frozen expansion plans. These aren't bad quarters. They're systemic tremors. The deeper truth is cultural. Chinese consumers are no longer chasing Western validation. The obsession with imported status symbols is fading. A new identity is emerging, confident, self-defined, and proud of domestic excellence. The badge on the hood matters less than the vision behind the machine. And increasingly, that vision is coming from within China. The MXRO S800 isn't just a car. It's a mirror. It reflects the West's stagnation and China's rise. It shows us what happens when ambition meets preparation, when strategy meets scale. The West thought it had time. It doesn't. The world's next great luxury vehicles won't be born in Bavaria or Silicon Valley. They're already rolling off the lines in China. And the rest of the world? It's either catching up or falling behind. It begins with pride. Not borrowed prestige or imitation, but something deeper, rooted in national ambition, driven by homegrown innovation, and embodied in brands that don't just aim to compete with the West but to eclipse it entirely. At the epicenter of this tectonic shift is China's electric vehicle juggernaut, an unstoppable industrial force fueled by government strategy, technological mastery, and a manufacturing ecosystem the West simply cannot rival. Names like BYD, NIO, Xiaomi, and Huawei are no longer symbols of affordability. They're now shaping the very definition of the future. And they're doing it with a velocity and precision that's leaving the rest of the world scrambling to keep up. The price differential alone is staggering. Western automakers have been dragged into a price war they cannot win. BMW had to slash the price of its EX1 by more than $20,000 just to stay afloat. But this is no longer about being cheaper. It's about being better in every measurable way. Enter the Maestro S800. Huawei's crown jewel, developed with JAC, is not just a car, it's a rolling supercomputer, a design marvel, a status symbol, and a direct strike against Europe's most elite luxury vehicles. With 3 motors producing 852 horsepower, a 702-kilometer range, and 5C ultra-fast charging that takes the battery from 10% to 80% in just 12 minutes, the S800 isn't trying to catch up, it's rewriting the rulebook. Inside, it's a digital sanctuary. Triple displays powered by HarmonyOS, 40 precision-tuned speakers, zero-gravity seating, ambient lighting that feels like art, and craftsmanship that challenges Rolls-Royce and Mercedes-Maybach, all at a fraction of the price. Less than a quarter of what a Maybach S680 costs. This isn't a disruption. This is domination. But the real weapon isn't any single car. It's the machine behind them. A vertically integrated industrial ecosystem so vast, so efficient, so tightly controlled that it delivers a 20% to 30% cost advantage before a single vehicle is assembled. China owns the supply chain, from lithium mines to battery cell factories, from chip design labs to final vehicle assembly lines. China has built a seamless pipeline that feeds its EV revolution. Between 60% and 75% of all EV battery components come from Chinese soil. BYD and KTL alone produce more than half of the world's batteries. This isn't a market advantage, it's an industrial stronghold. And when you add scale, government coordination, and rapid software innovation, what emerges is a model that's faster to adapt, harder to disrupt, and almost impossible to match. Meanwhile, the West is faltering. Its legacy automakers are bogged down by outdated combustion platforms, inefficient, bloated supply chains stretched across continents, and a growing reliance on China for critical components. That dependency is a ticking time bomb. A chip shortage, a trade barrier, a geopolitical shift. Any single event can freeze their production lines. This isn't just about cars, it's about vulnerability. It's about sovereignty. The battleground of mobility has changed. Cars are no longer just vehicles. They are mobile data centers, energy nodes, urban infrastructure, and strategic assets. Control over vehicles now means control over power, over data, over communication and access itself. And China isn't just part of that system. It's placing itself at the very center of it. Even the giants of American tech are taking notice. On July 16, 2025, NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang stood in Beijing and declared, "Chinese electric vehicles are the best in the world." That's not just praise, it's a reckoning. When the most powerful voice in AI and hardware concedes China's lead, the world listens. And China isn't waiting for permission to go global. In April 2025, BYD overtook Tesla in European EV sales, 7,031 units versus Tesla's 7,065. And this happened despite the European Union imposing tariffs of up to 45% in a desperate bid to slow them down. But nothing's slowing them down. Chinese brands now own nearly 6% of the European EV market, twice what they held just a few years ago. They're not just shipping cars, they're building factories. BYD's new facility in Hungary is only the beginning. Chinese companies are planting roots in Europe, bypassing tariffs, locking in local supply chains, and reaching consumers directly. And they're winning. BYD's cars in Europe sell at markups of 92% to 112%, delivering profit margins Western automakers haven't seen in decades. While Tesla's EU registrations plummet by 45%, BMW and Mercedes are bleeding cash, stuck in slow development cycles, bloated with costs, clinging to the last gasps of internal combustion while the world shifts beneath them. And behind this systemic takeover stands Huawei, once known for telecom, now a strategic mastermind at the core of China's automotive insurgency. Its expertise in AI, cloud computing, and smart connectivity is now embedded deep inside next-gen vehicles, transforming them into intelligent platforms, urban control centers, and extensions of the digital economy. Every Huawei-powered car is not just transport, it's infrastructure. And that infrastructure is becoming global. The financials tell the rest of the story. In Q2 of 2024, BMW's profits plunged. Mercedes-Benz, tied to China for a third of its revenue, is under mounting pressure. If the trend holds, Western companies could face billions in losses, be forced to cut innovation budgets, and pull back from the very markets they once dominated. This isn't a temporary slump. It's an existential crisis, because the Maestro S800 isn't just a car, it's a warning shot. A symbol of a new world order in which the West no longer leads by default, and where influence, innovation, and industrial power are shifting eastward with unprecedented speed. So now the question isn't whether the West can catch up, it's whether it will even get the chance. Because in this new era, defined not by tradition, but by acceleration, integration, and digital sovereignty, it's no longer just about who builds the best car. It's about who controls the future. And right now, China is already behind the wheel.